All right. Well, I've been elected, I guess, by default. I sat here thinking like, oh, I'm going to not have to go first. But according to the stage manager, I'm in the first spot. So here I go. But yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about the songs, I guess, just give you a brief overview of where they came from. This first song I'm going to do is about songs and storytellers. And one year when I was, probably 8, 9, something like that, Jimmy Driftwood came to our town. We lived in this little small town up in Wairika, California. And it was not very, I just remember my dad saying like he was one of just a couple dozen or so people there. So it's just kind of interesting that, do you know who Jimmy Driftwood is, first of all? Okay. He wrote The Battle in New Orleans, was like kind of one of his famous ones, and Tennessee Stud. And so my dad tracked him down, found out where he was staying, what hotel he was staying at, and just went and knocked on his door and said, hey, why don't you come over and have dinner with us? So Jimmy Driftwood came over for dinner that night, and he refused to play any songs, though. So my dad was kind of disappointed. And my dad impressed him with his spaghetti dinner. That is the only thing he knows how to cook. So it was just a good family time. But I just remember him telling just a lot of stories about songwriting. So years later, fast forward 20 years later, I wrote a song about that incident and kind of what it meant to me and kind of my dad's influence on just like my songwriting in general and kind of the songs that he used to play around the house kind of influenced my outlook on songwriting. So this is just called The Story Song. Well, old Jimmy Driftwood, he drove all the way north, play my hometown in front of only 2 dozen or so. This is way back when my mama was a dancer, and you asked a man to dinner just by going over and knocking on his door. That's how old Jimmy Driftwood, he ended up in our living room, and we heard the ones we wanted to and some we never heard of before. And every damn word was an Iliad sure, and he could hear the grand old in the small town schools of northern Arkansas. Oh, sing me that story, oh, tell me that song. Oh, corridos and thieves and men quick on the draw. By horses with green eyes, they run from the law. How Creoles and pirates held New Orleans strong. And my daddy played an old Mexican guitar. He'd buy way down south of the border, $15 brand new. This is during the time that he doesn't talk about, when he thumbed it on south and then he thumbed it on back to New York. During the calm before the storm, during peace between the wars, between the river wide behind him, the love he found in Oklahoma. Well, he played that guitar till he cracked down the side, singing everything Dylan, songs about downtrodden millionaires. Yeah, he strung up the strings, all cat-gutted and played it clean, so I could hear it through the walls, and it put me to sleep and it put me to dreaming. And this is way back when Mom's pointed out the stars to me. She showed me the Pleiades and she led me by the hand to the sea. Yeah, sing me that story, oh, tell me that song. About specials at midnight, the light shining on. About 1,500 poor souls lost to the deep. About walking the line in the lowest of keys. And repeated no matter how long it's been told. Hey, bring every listener in from the cold. Hey, whisper the pretty part and holler at the strong. Sing me that story, oh, tell me that song. Yeah, da da dum da dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum dum da dum da dum dum da dum dum dum. Thanks, Earl. Take it away, Grover.
So, I was nodding when you said Driftwood's name, because I was like, yeah, I want to look like I know who you're talking about. And then when you said he wrote Battle in New Orleans, it was very helpful because it helped me decide the next song I was going to play. And also, I was like, I know exactly who you're talking about now, so thank you. As a kid, I listened to 90s country growing up. I didn't listen to a lot of classic country, and you can blame my dad for that, and that's fine. But the one classic country tape we listened to all the time was the greatest hits of Johnny Horton. And the first track was Honky Tonk Man. And I liked that song, but I always liked the second song more, which was The Battle of New Orleans. And over time, eventually I got exposed to all those old songs and such. And if you're going to write country music, you have to have a song that cites all the older country songs. Sometimes they do them really corny and they're just all George Strait songs, which always drives me insane. But I wanted to write a song about some of the many songs that inspired me. And I wrote most of this song and sat on it for like 6 months because I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, what are the stakes? What is this song about? And then the Beat Fire came along, and I realized, I was like, oh, this is a song not just about the songs I know. This is a song about the community that I'm from and the stories that I've heard and the stories that I've shared. And the only way that I really know how to express that is by tying in all those old country songs that I heard driving around the roads up here. So this song is called Old Songs, and yeah. We were born of the ocean, though our blood is hardened since. From the carbon in the courts we crossed as we moved to the east. As we hit upon the mountain, we planted in this town. And the abundance of the earth was all we need. And all our old songs, they seemed so foreign as we sang them in the square. But in time our far-flung families joined our own, with tales of natives and the Northmen and the Kansans whence they came, sang our quiet little town into a home. Singing, tie a ribbon around the old oak tree, make me down a pallet somewhere in a field, and drop a line into a creek in moonlit darkness. I believe we could be cowboys if our mothers would yield. And that country road take us where we'd like to go, but this land wasn't made to be our home. Now the snowfall can get heavy and the summer's hot and dry, but we celebrate the hardy earth in hand. From the cattle to the vineyards, where the hilltops meet the sky, you can hear us sing its praises once again. As we're singing, tie a ribbon around the old oak tree, make me down a pallet somewhere in a field, drop a line into a creek in moonlit darkness. I believe we could be cowboys if our mothers would yield. And that country road will take us where we'd like to go, but this land wasn't made to be our home. And we carve our names in stone, plant our roots in bone. When the flame has gone, we come peg strung. All the while we're singing, tie a ribbon around the old oak tree, and make me down the pallet somewhere in a field. Then drop a line into a creek. In moonlit darkness, I believe, man, we could be cowboys if only mama would yield. And that country road to take us where we'd like to go. But this land was made to be our, this land was made to be our, this land was made to be our home. Thank you.
Nice. I've heard that song so many times. I literally, I think the first time I heard that song, I'm all, dude, he's stealing that line.
Quite literally.
Yeah,
right.
The
whole chorus.
Tie a Yellow Ribbon. Who wrote that song? Tie a Yellow Ribbon.
I know it from like Mitch Miller.
Yeah.
But I don't know who wrote. Mitch Miller didn't write any of his stuff. Yeah, some guy.
Oh, I got myself down.
Maybe a gal.
Well, that's funny because I was like, I don't have a song about songwriters that got me to sing songs. I just have always, I never thought I was going to be a songwriter. I was a drummer. And then I moved up here and I had a couple kids, and you can't play drums when you have babies in the house. So when I was, some garbage happened when I was 36. And basically, it happened to a lot of us. It was 2008, and people were losing their homes, including me. And my business sort of collapsed, and had a heart attack, and lost my girl all at one time. And it was a Wednesday, actually. It was a Wednesday. Never forget it. Oh yeah, you can't forget that day. And then everything was fine, actually. I mean, the cardiologist said, he's like, if you can have a heart attack, because at the time I was like really active. I was practically a vegetarian. I was swimming 2 miles a day. And the cardiologist was like, man, if you can have a heart attack, anyone can, right? And he's like, you need to relax. And he said more young people are having heart attacks than ever before. And he said, back in the day, it's like your father's age, after work, they went and had a drink. He's all, you need to have a drink, like the opposite of what your doctor would ever say, right? So I did. And I didn't have any work, and I basically stopped working, and I picked up a guitar. And I played guitar for 3+ hours a day, and then I wanted to write music, and you can't do that as a drummer. Anyway, tie a yellow ribbon around the old oak tree there. Bring it back to Grover here. It made me think of, that song's about men coming home from war, and that they're waiting for them. Their loved ones are waiting for them. And I wrote, my uncle was, or my dad and my uncle were both in the war. My uncle was in the Vietnam War, and it messed him up real bad. He flew helicopters, and it was a nightmare for him because he came back and he just stepped away from society. And in order for him to do that, but to be able to pay his bills, he became a truck driver for 7-Eleven, which as a 12-year-old boy is lame because he had 7-Up, not 7-Eleven, 7-Up. He had 7-Up, he had RC Cola, and some other drink that was like, none of the cool stuff. Yeah, he didn't have Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Sprite, but I didn't really get to know him until much later, when it was like my dad told me, like one day he snapped out of it, and he came to the house, and I got to spend a lot of time with him, and he wanted to talk about this stuff, and he shaved it. He had a beard his whole life, and or my whole life, and he shaved off his beard, and he became. It was literally like I got to know my uncle, and so what ended up happening for me was as an adult, and like looking back and trying to understand his life and trying to understand, what all men who go to war, men and women who go to war, have experienced. And so I wrote this song. For him. It's called Bittersweet. And it's basically, it's a man who comes back from war. Or a man who figures out he doesn't want to be in war when he's in war. Been down in the bunker as the battle rages on. I'm too gone to give a damn about all your noise. I should also say this. I forget my own lyrics, especially sitting up here with these two wonderful men who I admire extremely. They're like so professional compared to me. Like I said, I'm a drummer. It's real easy to remember drums. I'll start over. Shit. Been down by the fire, rest my battle-weary bones. The home of my father is so far away. I lost my desire, throw my enemies sticks and stones. I hope the thrones of the kings will all wash away. I hear the whispers through the trees. Stand up and fight or live on your knees. But I don't know if I can take this heat. 'Cause in the end, my dear friend, it's bittersweet. I've been down in the bunker as that battle rages on. I'm too gone to give a damn about all that noise. I held the hand of my brother, but his card's already drawn. He's just a pawn in the war like the rest of us boys. I take one down, but they take two. Won't be any left by the time this war's through. Pretty soon I think we'll all be obsolete. In the end, my dear friend, it's bittersweet. But they're gonna raise a glass for you and talk about all the good you do. I wish you were here with me at home to watch your children grow. They call me a hero, but the shame, it settles in. Sins on my hands won't wash away. I feel less than zero as they show me those medals I'd win. The nighttime seems more comforting than the day. So I lay down to take my rest and thank you, Lord, for doing your best. I tried to fight, but you know I had to retreat. 'Cause in the end, my dear friend, it's bittersweet. Yes, in the end, my dear friend, it's bittersweet. Yes, in the end, my dear friend, it's bittersweet.
Thanks, Tim. We were talking about before we did this tonight, like how should we do it, and should we like try and like tie the songs together somehow? We had an idea like a fishbowl that had like themes in it, and we could pick it out. I saw a band do that once. It was like a punk rock band though, and like fans would come up and pick the next song that was going to happen. It was kind of cool, but we didn't do that. So then we thought, well, we'll just try and play off of like what the previous guy did and go off there. So you reminded me of a song that I have about my grandfather going off to war, but it's not really about him, but that's part of the story. It's more about the grandma actually in the situation. And I got the idea. I was just in my yard one day and I saw what looked like a grandma walking around the neighborhood with her grandchildren. I thought, well, that would be a cool song to write a story about, kind of like what she's doing. I had imagined that she was walking around the neighborhood kind of showing them the sights and everything. So I started thinking about my own family and my mom. Hey, Mom, she's here tonight. She has this big old family. I thought, well, there's so much fodder there to work into a song. So with a lot of factual stuff, but then a lot of just kind of just story stuff to make it a good story, I put together this song about Grandma. Get by. Without further ado, this song is really long too, so I need to get started. Well, they brewed up their coffee, just water in the pan. Boiled them grounds from get up to settle down, till it filled up the whole house and leaked out onto the porch. Yeah, well, coffee was cheap, and cheap coffee was even cheaper, so Grandpa always had some money left for donuts and linguiça, and that's all the sustenance a man really needed to play a few rounds of horse. My grandfolks' house was always hundreds of miles away, and we drove them long hours every winter holiday to the annual gathering of the relatives, or the nicest bunch of people I didn't know too well. Yeah, there's aunts and uncles everywhere, about a score of cousins, and Nana still drove her Studebaker over with Grandma's brother, and there was all kinds of old-timers and new neighbors talking loud and coming out of the woodwork. We got that big old mob together, and it was usually harmonious. The kids didn't get underfoot, and the grown-ups they didn't fret over us. And there was lots of discussions about sports and food and religion, and that's it. There's mischief to be made, whoppers to be told, and someone always suggested we put on some crazy talent show. But my favorite was when Grandma would say, get your shoes on, we're going sightseeing. Yeah, let's go take a walk with Grandma. She gonna show us the old neighborhood. That's where my mama flew from her bicycle. She tore her Sunday best up pretty good, and that's where Grandpa liked to stroll along, holding the hand of the one it belonged to. He said, I love you, cat. And Grandma gets a little misty, remembering all of that. Well, that neighborhood went up round about 45. Grandpa served up in Alaska, so he came back alive. Or else all us grandkids wouldn't be there, running right out into the street. Yeah, they bought their home just after the war, and then they boomed out 8 kids, and then they had 2 more. And they named them all after the Gospels and the saints. And every holiday we'd all play basketball on the half courts that they poured in the backyard, and scattered all around quite strategically with their names etched into the concrete. Yeah, there was Johnny's corner, Matt's line, and Mark's sweet spot. When those boys stood there, oh, they'd never miss their shot. And Uncle Paul, well, he owned everyone inside the paint. So the boys all whooped it up or watched the television, while the girls watched the turkey cook and chatted in the kitchen. And this was way back when gender roles and stereotypes didn't bother people too much. We eventually said grace and proceeded to stuff ourselves good. Resolutions, they'd make us right again soon, or we could try to work it off with a little walk around the neighborhood. Come on, Grandma, let's go take a walk with Grandma. She gonna show us the old neighborhood. That's where my mama flew from her bicycle. She tore her Sunday best up pretty good, and that's where Grandpa liked to stroll along, holding the hand of the one it belonged to. He said, I love you, cat. And Grandma gets a little misty, remembering all of that. Well, all the grandkids grew up and had some great grandkids. Sold that house in the East Bay town of San Lorenzo and moved out to the valley. And Grandpa stuck around for a few years. Yeah, well, we don't get together like that anymore. I guess it's too much trouble, nobody wants that chore. I guess it's too much worry, figuring how many extra pans of stuffing to do. So we had Grandma over to our new home this last time, and she's all youth in her laughter, just a kid in her eyes, and she loves them little babies, and we are pleased to provide her with a couple too. And all the usual fare was set there on the table, and as usual we all put away more than we were able. But after all the talk I said, Mom, let's take a little walk like we used to. Yeah, let's go take a walk with Grandma. We're gonna show her the new neighborhood. That's where my daughter first rode on her bicycle. And she could take that corner pretty good. And that's where her mama and I won't spend a little time talking about what was to come from the rest of our lives. Said I wanna grow old with you and know our own grandkids and show them where they come from, just like my grandma did when we would take a walk with Grandma. She would show us the old neighborhood. That's where my mama flew from her bicycle. She tore her Sunday best up pretty good, and that's where Grandpa liked to stroll along, holding the hand of the one it belonged to. He said, I love you, cat. And Grandma gets a little misty, remembering all of that. He said, I love you, cat. And Grandma gets a little misty, remembering all of that. He said, I love you, cat. And Grandma gets a little misty, remembering all of that.
Thanks, Scott. God damn. Cool, my turn. Wow, that was a good song. So when we were playing songs about grandparents, I was like, I've got one. It's really serious, and it's a good one that I don't play often. But now I feel like I need to bring up my other grandparents song, which is kind of the better of the two. Because goddamn, that was a great song, Chris. I weirdly have two songs about grandparents that have passed away, one on either side. The other one is called Holes, and I'm quite proud of it, but this is the one that I'm most proud of to have written, so I guess I'm getting the big gun out early. Damn, I'm in trouble now. My grandma Joni was from Oklahoma, and she was the most sarcastic Oklahoman you've ever met. And she married a guy who was born in Detroit and became a union electrician in Oakland, California, which is quite a mismatch. But they loved each other very, very much, so much that they never got married. They said 40 years is good enough, damn it. She was very, very funny in the way that she would express her love. She loved him till the day that she died. But I don't think she said too many nice things to him. And yet there was so much love in all of those mean, sarcastic things. And I was like, I kind of get this Oklahoma spirit, and it's a pretty good one. And it deserves a love song. So this is my love song for Grandma Joni. I don't know if it's fireflies or if my eyes are lying to me, but the lights that fill up my sky, they aren't shining as bright. I landed in Minnesota, it's colder, but I'm warm and I'm free. Until I'm alone on the memories to help me get through the night. And I got what I want, now I just want more. When you leave Indiana, I'm gonna cover some ground. Do all that I couldn't get done without you around. I'm gonna cook you a dinner and burn it. I'll say you're perfect when you don't deserve it. I'm gonna love you till I'm sick of you, and hopefully you're gonna be sick of me too. And we've dealt with this distance, lived through distance, the wild ups and downs. But I hear your voice through the wire, and my heart floats away. Now you're heading home, we've gone on too long waiting around. Oh, let's have some of that fun we've been hearing about. Forget all the future and live for today. When you leave Indiana, I'm gonna cover some ground. Do all that I couldn't get done without you around. I'll change your flat tires, keep my facial hair groomed. I'll hold you in bed till the late afternoon. I'm gonna love you till I'm sick of you, and hopefully you're gonna be sick of me. We got the rest of our lives to live, the rest of our lives. Try as we might in time, some of the magic might die. But when we get together, I'm gonna cover some ground. Right now we're young and we're dumb, and we'll run this town. I'm gonna cherish each kiss like the first. I'll hold you in ways that they'd frown on in church. Then if I'm lucky to live till I'm 80, I'll still be a fool for my little old lady. I tell everyone that I'm sick of you, and hopefully you're gonna be sick of me too. Oh, aren't you sick of me too? Thank you.
Well, speaking of grandpas, I guess we're on the grandpa train right now.
What if it was just a whole night of grandpa songs? You're like, that's not on the poster, the grandpa song thing. I like it though. One more grandpa song for sure, but
At least one more.
Love.
I'm inspired to play
Goes
my
without
grandpa
saying.
song now. My grandpa, he lived in Santa Cruz and we lived in San Jose. And I didn't really know him at all. And when I was 15, he had some health issues and he moved in with us. And they took away his driver's license. And I was 15, and when I was 15, you could get your permit like the day you turned 15, which is different now. You have to be 15 and a half. Way different. You're way more mature and in control at 15 and a half than at 15. And the leap between 15 and a half and 16, when you could actually drive a death machine all by yourself, another leap in maturity happens there. So my parents were sick of me driving them around. That lasted like 2 months, where I was like begging to drive them to the grocery store, or didn't matter where. Like, you want to go to the corner? You want to go to the end of the road? I'll drive you. Why walk? And they didn't want to do that anymore, because me at 15, turning 15, I was like, my uncle took a ride with me one time and looked over and he's all, "Do you know how to stop at a stop sign?" Like, because I'd kind of just do that California thing, because that's what I saw people do. My dad was practically a race car driver. Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. I could barely keep a job. Yeah, of course. That's all there was. Stick shift. Everyone knows how to drive a stick who's over the age of 30, I think. I don't know. Yeah, right? We all do. We never want to get trapped with strangers who leave you their car in the middle of nowhere and you have to drive a stick out, right? So anyway, my grandpa moved in with us, and it was the summertime. It was May, and they took away my grandfather's driver's license, and basically I could drive, and he was older than 25 years old, which was part of the law. I think the actual whole law is a licensed driver over 25, but I felt that no one was going to pull us over because he didn't look like a licensed driver. He looked like he could pull it off. Right. Yeah, the spirit of the law. Exactly. Thank you, Grover. And that summer was amazing because I got to not only like meet my grandfather, but I got to know my grandfather, and my grandpa was freaking awesome. You know, like he had this wealth of wisdom that, in hindsight, just like a wise man, and unlike my parents. Well, I should say this: my parents were also smarter than I was. But my grandpa didn't make me feel dumb. He conveyed his knowledge in story, and not telling me what I was doing was silly or stupid or wrong. Or I would say, I'm thinking of doing this, and he would like, and then he would go down the story about how he did something sort of like what I was thinking about doing, and how it turned out badly, and how something to think about. And he really wanted me to be a wise man. The wise man learns from other mistakes. Yeah, my parents, exactly. My parents were just like, no, you can't do that. So that summer, I learned to love clam chowder, and I got to drive over Highway 17 at 15 years old. I learned to stop at stop signs. white clam chowder. I still don't know if red clam chowder is clam chowder, according to my grandfather. Yeah, I learned to love clam chowder and other soft foods. My grandpa gave me the gift of storytelling and the gift of like what friendship actually means. We would, another illegal move, it would be like, oh, you want to go to lunch at, by the bucket? Let's go. And on the way there, I'll pick up my friends and we'll all go to lunch. How's that sound? And he's like, he didn't care. He just wanted to get out of the house. So this song's called Cosmonaut for no reason. He was he was a cosmonaut in my mind. Like he was a thinker beyond this galaxy for me, and he pretty much really at a time in my life that seemed, in hindsight, that seemed pivotal, steered me away from some of the things that all the stuff that 15-year-olds would do on their own. But worse, I think I was a little bit worse. And unknowingly, taught me to be a good man. I want to tell you about a man I knew, gave it his best shot. He wasn't different than me and you, dealt the cards that he got. And he would talk about the man in the moon, and a little more often than not, he would sound like Aristotle and drink from the bottle, from the liquor that my daddy bought. You cosmonaut, won't you even try to tell me who, what, where, when, and why? His hands were made of leather, steel, wool, and stone. He came from a different era where heroes were made and not born. The sunshine was a shelter, his clothes were tattered and torn. But he would take down the crooks from the history books from the moment that boy was born. You cosmonaut, won't you even dare to tell me who, what, why, when, and where? Who, what, why, when, and where? He said, takes more than living, you take it just to give it. The high-riding sinners are the tales that you hear. You can be a quitter or some counterfeiter. You know you might want to reconsider before it all disappears. He took his last bow, standing on that stage. Sometimes I wonder if he ever thought I made the grade. I think about the time we had, stories that he made, and I remember the places, the beautiful faces, all the friends we had made. Oh, cause not. Now I know your truth about where, what, why, when, and who. Where, what, why, when, and who. Where, what, why, when, and who. Oh, dear friend, I sure miss you. Thanks.
Six songs in an hour, right on schedule.